Hey, this is Enoch for the 5th day of Native American Appreciation Month, or Native American History Month, or my favorite Hug a Native Month. What I'd like to show you today is my Native American Wood Flute. You saw me play it in the first day of the month. Now I just kind of want to break down a couple things for you. This is one of the easiest instruments in the world to pick up and play. It's one of the hardest instruments in the world to master. Much like any instrument is, you have to practice. Air support, flow support, and other types of emotional support to get the instrument. But it's very peaceful, very easy to play. Let me break it down for you real quickly. It sounds very simple. And it's based a lot upon how your wind is and how your breath support is. So if you're feeling very angry that day, you'll get a much angrier sound than you will peaceful sound. If you're feeling very relaxed, you can get a much more flowing and easygoing sound. But it's all based upon your breath, the support, and everything. So let me break down the flute for you. At the very beginning of the flute, we have our air hole or breathe hole. This is what we blow into. This is where we put the sound in. Now, when you put your lips on the flute, you just kind of rest your lips on it like you're kissing it. You don't really put not weird embouchures or anything like that. Just resting, and you just kind of lightly blow into it. On top of the flute, near the top is this thing right here. It's called a fetish. Most Native American wood flutes have a fetish on it, and usually they're in shapes of birds. Sometimes they're in shapes of other animals, like the bear or turtles or butterflies or something like that. The idea behind the fetish is twofold. One, it's the spirit of whatever the creature is that you have up there that kind of gets infused inside the flute. But also the fetish allows airflow to work with this air hole here. This is where the sound comes out. This is what we call the sound hole inside the Native American flute. So the fetish helps the sound matriculate out of the flute easier. So this sound here, this sound hole, when you're actually miking the flutes, this is where you're going to put a mic right next to the sound hole to get the pure sound. The sound doesn't come from the end, which a lot of people think it just comes from right up here. Also along the flute, depending upon what type of style of flute you have, you can either have 5 holes or 6 holes. And you'll see here there's a 6 holes going along the side of my flute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some holes have the 4th hole covered up, and that's what's called a 5-hole flute. There's a reason behind that, and we'll talk about that much later on during the month, but there's just a reason behind that. So 6-hole flutes. Nice thing is you put your hands on it, left hand on the top, right hand on the bottom, just covering the 3 holes, the way it is. And then generally speaking, this finger doesn't move when you start playing. So this finger becomes your anchor finger. And as you do that, now you have the ability to play a scale going up by just moving your fingers. So. Very simple scale. The Native American flute, just like a lot of other Aboriginal flutes, like the flutes of Peru or other Latin American countries, or like Asian flutes, or some of the islander flutes that are out there, they're all built upon a very simple pentatonic scale. For those of you who don't know what pentatonic means, diatonic scales is what we have in traditional Western music. So diatonic means 7. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. That's diatonic. That's 7 tones, okay? The pentatonic scale, we take out the fa and the ti, and we just go with a do, re, mi, sol, la. Do, re, mi, sol, la, do, la, so, mi, re, do. So you take out the fa and the ti, and that's your pentatonic scale. We still have minors and majors and all those other type of scales inside of pentatonics. It just depends on which note you start on. So, like C major, C, D, E, G, A, C, C minor pentatonic, A, C, D, E, G, A. Anyways, notes wise. The reason why that's important is because on the Native American flute, the lowest tone of the flute, when all your fingers are on it, the lowest tone is the name of the flute. It's the sound of the flute. So this flute here is an F-sharp flute because of the lowest tone. In the Native American flute, the scale you play, the pentatonic scale, when you just raise your fingers up, is a minor F-sharp scale. So this is a minor F-sharp scale. Minor F-sharp scale. What that means is you can play an F-sharp minor, or you can play an A major. Okay, the notes of the F-sharp minor pentatonic is F-sharp, A, B, C-sharp, E, F sharp. So you can play an F sharp or you can play an A. Now, the reason why it's important is because Native American flutes can't play other notes very easily. Very easily. It's easier to stick within just a very simple finger movements instead of trying to go with some of the more complicated notes. Which means F sharp minor is good, A major is good. anything out of that, if I'm trying to play in B, this is not the flute for it. I gotta change flutes. I gotta either go to, if I'm going to try to play in B, I either have to pull up a G sharp flute, or I have to try to find a very solid a B major flute, which is, they're kind of tricky to find. So you're usually going to find a G sharp flute. So you have to know that. So whatever key you're going to play in, you have to make sure you have the flute that's corresponding to it. Most flutes, when you get them, beginning flutes are A flutes, which is great. But an A flute means you can only play A and C sharp, A and C major. You can't play like F, and you can't play, B flat and all the other ones as easily. You have to stick with those flutes. So, just so you know, that's kind of how the flute works. Now, if you have a 6-hole flute like I do, when you pull all your fingers off one at a time, and you now pull off your anchor finger, you have what's called the F sharp Dorian scale. That's, most music majors will understand what that is. For most common folk, don't even worry about it. It's just crazy music stuff. But to know that the 6-hole variation flute is the F sharp Dorian, it sounds something like this. A little bit different sound, still kind of minor. A little bit different sound, but it means now you play F sharp Dorian. You can also play E major. It's just something you know about when you start working inside the different terminologies of flute. When you first start off, you work with F sharp minor, A major scale, and that's good enough for you. Okay. Flutes, very simple to get, really simply easy to play. Highly recommend going out and trying it, because it helps relax a lot of people when they start playing it, and it's very pretty when you get into it. So that's my quick little update for the 5th day of Native American Month. Make sure you go out and hug yourself a Native American, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks. Bye.